Okay, today I'm going to do a really quick review of the 932 vacuum pump. I have several vacuum style pens, and I'll go over just basically the handheld version. I've also got it's an import from China. I've got several of the double station China vacuum picks. This particular one is actually available on Amazon. And I got it for my main test bench. Typically, other videos you'll likely see me use something that looks a lot like this. And these work really well. The difference is you have to be a little bit more careful when you actually pick up. But an actual vacuum pump that's either air, Venturi operated, or has an electric pump on it actually works a lot better, especially if you're doing a lot of assembly. And over on my assembly bench, that's usually what I'm using. But like I said, I'm going to do a quick review on this. This is a single port version, and this is what's going to go on my testing bench. And this is pretty much how it comes boxed. And it has minimal packaging. It did come in a plastic case. You can kind of take a look there. Just a really simple box. And this is basically just a vacuum pump. Several of the other units that I got, I actually ended up having to replace this hose. That was one of the first things that was an issue. It came with like a cheap vinyl hose, and it was shipped, kind of kinked up like this. And one of the things with that type of hose is these kinks don't come out. This unit, however, this is more like a surgical hose type material, and it doesn't have any kinking at all. And it was fairly tightly packed. If you could imagine it, it kind of looked like this when it was delivered. And it came right unkinked and should work well. Okay, first thing I just wanted to note, this is a fairly robust cord. I doubt that it actually needs to be this robust, but this is probably one of the most robust power cords that I've ever gotten for one of these type of devices. It's well built. I don't know what gauge this is. Actually, it appears to be 18, but just the sheer diameter of the cord is actually pretty impressive. And they've got a cautionary sticker over the input plug. I'm just going to remove that. Let's see. And that's just warning us to remove the shipping screw. I think all the vacuum pumps that I've gotten, or pressure pumps, even on my Extronic hot air pen, they basically come with a shipping screw or some kind of thing to keep the piston from rattling around or getting damaged during shipment. And if you flip it over, it's got a red mark screw, and we'll want to remove that. That's more than likely what actually holds the diaphragm or piston from damage during shipping. Be sure that if you do buy one of these, you don't forget this step. Okay, then now that's removed. One thing I wanted to note, just looking at the handle here, um, it's just a really simple piece of aluminum. It's got the standard tip, and you know, your lure lock style connections will fit this. I have several of these kind of connections. I do recommend that if you do buy one of these, I'll show you the plastic pack that this came with. One thing I'd recommend is actually buying another set of these, because you will want, a lot of them come with a straight tip, and it's really hard to place items straight up and down, especially if you're looking at it through a microscope or something like that, because you can't get directly over top of it. So you'll kind of want an angled tip where you can look down directly on top of the part. We'll see what happens here when we turn it on. Okay, no problems. We've got suction. On my other units, some of them are valved. This particular one is not. It basically, you can kind of see there, it just has a drilled hole, and you put your finger over that, and when you put your finger over it, it's applying vacuum, and when you remove your finger, it takes the vacuum away. And this is kind of by default what it comes with. It comes with a couple little suction cups. Looks like a holder or hanger, and it comes with a single, it does have an angled dent tip. I'll pull it out of the bag here and we'll put it on and give it a try. Okay, this is the tip that it comes with, and as you can see, it's got, you know, the bend in it. And it does have some assembly required. I don't actually see any manuals or instructions that came with the unit, but if you look on the left hand side on the unit over here, there's actually 2 screws that you know, are going to meet that pattern, and that's where you'd want to put this. There's just 2 machine screws. You just remove those and put the mount on. And this is a spring-like material. You'll have to do a little bit of holding to get the thread started. And it is basically a spring. So basically you press it in, pull the pin out. And one of the things that I'll note is whether you're using, you know, normal, a lot of times I'll use lure lock style syringes or syringe ends. A lot of those you can bend. You have to be real careful about not putting one of those through your finger. But when you do this, kind of look at it and get it aligned to where the you have a convenient finger position on the hole here. And that'll make it a lot easier, especially if you forget that and you end up with a finger hole in the wrong position. You can see here how the end of the nozzle would be an issue. Let's give this a test here with this small part. Okay, that definitely works really well. Um, and placement's really easy. Okay, this unit actually does work really well. Like I say, it's on Amazon. This is a model 932. Definitely something you want to get over one of these. One of the things I'll note about this particular unit, it's really similar to my dual station ones. But one thing I've noticed that with the ones that actually have the hole, I'll kind of give you a demonstration here. But once the part's picked up, you can actually release that, and you have a bit of time before it actually reduces pressure. We're holding that part now. The neat thing is pretty much as soon as you actually touch the board with this, it'll actually automatically release. So that's just one tip that I wanted to put out there. A lot of people really struggle with the right release time. You can pretty much get there's a little wrist motion that you do, and basically what it's doing is kind of canting that and breaking the little bit of suction that's still there, even after you release this. And it's a really something that you gain with experience. But you know, go down and basically just do this little twist or wrist motion, and the part will pop right off. And it makes placing components a lot easier, and really fast. You can basically lay them out and place them really quickly. Anyway, really nice unit, really simple. It looks if you had any problems with it, it looks really simple to disassemble and repair. The handle part is very basic. If something happened to this, it would be really easy to remanufacture this without any issue. And just looking at it, I may at some point. This is this is a little bit larger shank pin than I normally use on them, and I may actually make a new one that's a little bit smaller. A lot of folks just use an actual pin and then make a tip for the end to hold these. But you can look up vacuum pin nozzles. They have these on Amazon as well.